I'm going to record. So good morning, everyone. And I hope you're fine. I hope you're not sick. If you're sick, you're staying home, of course. So today, the topic of this discussion, hopefully, we are going to talk about what? Do you remember or have you noticed on the syllabus?
Health literacy.
Yes, health literacy. I'll try to make examples that are probably related to what we're doing today. Do you still have an exam on Thursday? Yes, we do have an exam. So I will send you an information later because we have to align the two sections. Basically, we are going to do an online questionnaire. So you're not coming to the campus, but you can do it on at the same time we schedule, but online. So you do it on your own. You're doing it on your own computer. Okay. So, Mina, can you mute your microphone unless you want to talk to us? Thank you. Is this clear? So I'll send you an email to confirm this and how to access the this online quiz, but everything will be done remotely, so you don't have to come to campus. Okay.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
You're welcome. So what I wanted to do today is go to the slides. It's not going to take a lot of time. Then I'm going to kind of review what we discussed so far, just a refresher of the content we covered so far. Bear in mind, so the health literacy will not be part of the quiz. So the quiz will be up to last week's session. Okay. I will double check this, but at the same time, so today content will not be part of the quiz.
Okay.
All right. So anyway, I'll give you more details by email. So we will both me and Mayada Kanj, the instructor of section 2, we will send the information today. Hello, Noor, good morning. If you joined us. Okay, so without much further ado, I'd like to start. Let's see if it works. Slideshow. Okay. Now Zoom. Share. Okay. Share. Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Can you all see? Okay. Perfect. So, what is health literacy? If you wanted to define it, who wants to try?
I can try.
Okay, go ahead.
So health literacy is the ability of an individual to understand the medical terms or the conversation that is related to health, medical words or scientific words.
Yeah. Okay. And go ahead. What else? So give us some examples when you use this definition.
So for example, when I visit my doctor and I have a discussion about my organs, my health situation, my health concern, if I understand what he or she is telling me about my condition, then I have a good health literacy. Depends on what scientific words he or she uses. For example, if I can participate in the decision for my concern, for my treatment, so then I have a good health literacy that I can understand and participate in the process of my treatment.
So what you're saying is, so that it's about language?
Language that can help in other things, like, but yeah, I think the main thing is language.
So the use of words that are comprehensible. Yeah. And what else?
It might be also not only words, health knowledge, any knowledge related to health. Like, for example, if I felt any pain, I can say what I am feeling. I can specify that I have pain in my stomach, in my kidneys. I don't know.
Yeah, but the doctor, so assuming the perspective of the doctor here. So how they are speaking with you in order for you to understand.
Mm-hmm.
What do they do? Or what should I do?
What should they do? They should speak with me in a language that I can understand.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if I do not know any scientific words, any health-related words, they have to simplify the conversation so I can understand what they are telling me. But
Mm-hmm.
if I am from a scientific background, medical background, I can understand some of the scientific and health-related words. So I have a good health literacy. I can participate in the conversation.
Okay. Can you see the chat as well, or no, or just the slides?
Me?
Yeah, everyone. Can you see the slides with the annotations that I make?
The slides. Yes, we can see the slides.
Can you see the chat as well, or no? Yes.
No,
so
but I think we can open the chat.
Yeah, I know, but do you see this the chat on the slides? Because now I
yes,
have.
yes.
Yeah, that's the
You are
problem.
writing. Oh, yes.
I am trying to remove the chat. Wait a minute. Close it. I cannot do it. So I'm trying to move this part. So let's see. Clear. Okay. The point is, so someone suggested it's about the reading ability. It's about the possibility to understand and comprehend health information. So it's about both. I mean, it's about the reading ability and the possibility to understand. Now, if you look for definitions, so according to this is what the Healthy People 2010 said, according to the US Department of Health and Human Services. Health literacy is the degree to which individuals have the capacity to obtain, process, understand basic health information and services needed to make appropriate health decisions. So it's obtaining, processing, and understanding medical information. According to the AMA, American Medical Association, it's a constellation of skills, right, including the ability to perform basic reading and numerical tasks required to function in healthcare environment. So as you can see, these are, let's say, skills we are talking about. These are abilities or skills that that someone has to have in order to understand health information. Sorry, according to the WHO, sorry, what's happening? According to the WHO, it doesn't stop, okay. The WHO definition is a bit more comprehensive. I cannot stop the slide. Yeah, well, it's not working. Sorry, I need to stop sharing. Let's see if it works this way. Apologize for this. Let's see. Now you should see the screen again. So inshallah, it's working. No, it's not cool. For some reason, it's not working, this one. So now you should see the final screen. All right, so health literacy represents, according to WHO, the cognitive and social skills which determine the motivation and ability to individuals to gain access to, understand, and use information in in ways which promote good health. So what do you think about this last definition? So talk about skills. What do you think are cognitive and social skills?
It's just too general. I think.
Okay. It's too general, but so what do you think is too general?
Inclusive also.
What do you think are cognitive skills? So Sana is writing, cognitive is understanding and social is communicating. It's general but comprehensive. Okay, so maybe, yeah, I don't know. I didn't write this definition. We can hope that this is what the WHO intended. Cognitive, maybe it's about the understanding. So related to the process of, remember we talked about last week about the elaboration likelihood. So if you are attentive, if the argument of the topic of discussion is of your interest, you pay more attention. So it's the ability to understand. Also, Noor is saying that. So Haula, maybe it's limiting to those who seek care but don't have the cognitive capability. Yeah, exactly. So someone might seek care without having the knowledge, without having the education to understand. So the social ability is probably the ability to interface with others and to have a relationship with the doctor or with the nurse or the other healthcare providers. So Maya says social is about communication. It seems that it's placing the weight on the patient and not as much on the care provider. Yes, to some extent. So it's a sort of, the responsibility is within the patient, yeah, or the person who looks for information. Yeah. So sorry guys, instead of typing, can you just raise your hand and speak? Because I cannot look at two screens simultaneously, so it's better. I don't have like a moderator that is looking at that. Okay. Okay, Abdurrahman, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So it is comprehensive, but it's so generalized that you cannot get anything out of it. Also, so for example, if I don't speak a language in certain countries, does that make me illiterate in that country, health illiterate in that country? Because I have huge problems of communicating and understanding.
Yeah.
Despite I might be a doctor in my country, for example.
Yeah.
Somebody. Yeah. So I'm not sure what's the background behind that definition.
I don't know the background either, but let's take it from, as you mentioned. So what are the elements that constitute our ability to understand? So probably language, just to quickly answer you, language might be a barrier in that case to your understanding, to your skills, to fulfill the skills of obtaining, processing, understanding the information. Yes, you would understand that information in English. Yes, you would understand the information in your own native language. But because you speak another language, you're not native speaker of that country where you're living in now, you will not process that information. You would not be exposed to those messages. It's something, let's say it happens to me, I don't read Arabic, or I don't read very well Arabic. So every time I see a message, I just ignore. I cannot read it. It's too cognitive demanding for me. So even if it's relevant, even if I might understand it, I simply ignore it. So it's not because I'm not health literate, but because that's the problem of communication in general. So in the language that is not the one you can read, you cannot understand. Hence the importance of contextualizing health information and making it available to most people. There was Lubna, and then I saw Khawla raise their hand. Lubna.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that I've read in one reading in the book, I think, that yes, if you do not know the language, you don't have health literacy. So if you are in a country that you don't understand the language, and you understand science or you have a scientific background, still the language is a barrier. So you don't have health literacy in that specific country.
Yes. Yes. Khawla.
Yes, like on Abdurrahman's point, wouldn't that be offset with illiteracy at least for the person? Because like even if you don't know it, maybe you can still, at least when you receive information, still translate or find things online. Or
we'll talk about eHealth literacy towards the end of this session. So the language might be a barrier in general for any communications, not specifically for seeking information online. So I would suggest, I mean, we think of health communication in broader sense. So here we're not talking about communication about health in general, but maybe about specific terms. Now, the language that Lubna was mentioning also before, it's not only the language spoken in the country, but also the language spoken by a certain category of people. It could be like a jargon, or it could be, a set of terms that health professionals use that might create this distance between the patient and the provider. So health literacy, if we move on, to talk about it, depends on these factors. So the communication skills of people and lay professionals, so whether you're able to read or able to understand and the language you are talking to. So think about Lebanon here. Here we have a context of it's multicultural, multi-language first. So think about how many people speak at least 3 languages here. And think about also the Armenian community. So when we deal with patients that are based in specific areas of Beirut, like Bur Shammud, some organizations like the Armenian Relief Council and part of the Red Cross, they produce their materials in Armenian, okay, Armenian and or Arabic, because people might speak Arabic, but they might not be able to read Arabic, or they might need to speak more, let's say Armenian, than actually Arabic. So that's the importance of understanding the target audience. We go back to the time when we spoke about when we do campaigns. So campaigns means anything. Campaigns mean producing a material about health. So it's not just campaigns for recruiting volunteers or having participants taking a blood test. Okay. So anything that we produce has to be contextualized, has to be translated in a sense in the language that most of the people in that population would understand. And if not only one language is enough, then you need to have multiple versions of the message in different languages. This is step number 1. So for people they are able to learn and understand that language. There's also another problem. So people, we tend to rely on the ability of people to read. Not everyone might be able to read the message. And this is another problem we need to consider. And so this comes also with the level of knowledge about a specific topic. So we don't know, this is related to the education, okay, to the fact that people might not have gone through schooling or university education. Now, of course, there's a cultural aspect. So there are things that might be difficult to translate in different languages. That might be always something that is lost in translation. Yet you need to have a specialist on your team that are able to convey the right message in the right time. I'll give you an example for that. Now, you know that, so there's a committee, expert committee in AUB for the coronavirus now. We, as a department, we have produced a series of myth-buster messages supposed to address common myths and misconceptions about this coronavirus, the way it's diffused, who's gonna be affected by that, and so on. So we translated these messages from English to Arabic. Now, the initial translation that was done was not very accurate, and it was very slang, according to my colleagues. So we had to rerun this translation and validate it with an expert of the faculty here, so an infectious disease specialist. The problem is that her perspective, so the perspective of this infectious disease person, was very scientific. So she said, no, you need to use scientific terms here because these are accurate terms. When we told her, you have to bear in mind who is the target audience. Who is going to read this message? Okay. Who's going to read this message is the people that probably access online information. We share this information on social media. So those are people that have some level of knowledge or education, very likely. At the same time, you cannot assume they know medical terms. Okay, do you see the point where, you know, cultural and the translation itself might not work all the time? So we need to provide language coverage, let's say, for both English and Arabic. At the same time, it's the translation may not work for everyone. Okay. Now, health literacy also depends on the context we're talking about. The context, not the social context, is the health-related context, and specifically related to the type of domain of health literacy we're talking about. I give an example. So now, let's say we are all, more or less, very aware about infectious diseases. So we know a lot about how viruses, or we are supposed to know, how viruses are spread among people, and how infectious, how easy it can be for a virus to go and travel the world like this, from China to, I don't know, the United States. We don't know much about bacteria, and we still know probably a little about the way viruses evolve over time. So why now there's a COVID-19, maybe next year there will be another strain of virus. Now we are all very attentive. Our attention is very high about this topic. So we learn, we study a lot about this. So we are very literate, or to some extent. We don't know much about other diseases, like neglected tropical diseases. Abdurrahman can tell us a bit more about this because he's a TDR scholar. So health literacy is context specific. So we as individuals, we might become more aware about a specific topic, about specific health issue, because we are involved. I have blood pressure, I read more about it, I know how to treat it. I have diabetes, I know how to treat it because I have learned how to do so. It might not be the case for everyone, and not everyone should know about it. When you think about also cancer literacy, it's very broad. There are so many types of cancer, so many preventive messages that you can think about to prevent cancer. Yet we don't know, we don't need to have the entire population knowing what are the treatment options for cancer. No, we need to know how to, how long it takes, let's say, to recover, what type of medicines should be taken in case of a diagnosis. Now, the patients who are diagnosed, of course, they will find out their own way how to deal with this situation, with their condition. Then they will become more literate about the topic, but they might not know something about other types of cancers, okay? Then, of course, the level of health literacy in this case depends on the context and the health system. If we assume the socio-ecological model framework, let's say, the situation we are living in Lebanon is much more different than the situation of patients now affected by COVID-19 in the UK with the NHS, which is a free healthcare system for everyone, or Switzerland, when I mentioned probably before that it's a privatized health system, or the healthcare system in some countries of Europe is semi-private or public. So that makes a difference. How do we access care? How do we get to the services we want? How do we demand our rights, let's say, as citizens, as our right to health? It somehow might not be widespread across the country we are living in. Then, of course, it depends on the situation. If you are stressed, if you are under physical or mental strain, we might react differently. So the information, remember, we talked about the processing of information through the elaboration likelihood model last week. One of the criteria for being able to process an information from the central route is to have the motivation and to be engaged, let's say, in that topic, in the conversation. So, of course, if you're under mental or physical or mental stress, then your attention will be lower. Then you might not pay attention and understand the content clearly. Is this clear so far? Okay. I wanted to stress two more points here. So health literacy is not just about using plain language. Yeah. So using plain language or using a language that is appropriate for a target audience of grade 6 and above is a technique for communicating clearly. Okay. It's not a tool for improving health literacy. It's a starting point. Okay. And health literacy is not cultural competency. Or to be honest, I would say cultural competency is an element that should make us be more aware about the determinants of health literacy. Okay, what do you think about this? Raise your hand. Raise your hand to speak, please. Okay, Abdurrahman, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was wondering, since so we had 3 definitions. I'm still wondering about the definitions, and 2 of them mentioned reading, and maybe that's why the WHO definition was so generalized and wide and non-specific or generic, because they wanted to get out of this trap that people should read so they can understand their health. But however, we still need language, and this is kind of interesting that despite all of the you know, all of the advances that we have, we still have to be we need people to read and write so we can communicate through health messages.
Yeah, sorry, I wanted to interrupt you here. It's not about only reading. You can think about a message that shows only pictures, like a pictorial message for instructions. This, you don't need to know, you don't need to read the message to understand the content. Okay, but you still need to see it, in a sense, to be able to process it. Now think about a person that cannot see. Okay, visually impaired people cannot read as we do, okay, cannot see as we do. We need to take into account that too when we develop our messages. Otherwise, we risk, of course, of excluding someone. Okay? So yes, the definition of WHO is very much related to the language, to the written content, but it's not only about that. So we need to probably abstract a bit more on this. So Khawla is asking, can you repeat the question? The question was about the role of cultural competencies and plain language. So is health literacy not just plain language and cultural competency? What is it then? So it entails a bit more, it's a bit broader than it's just language. But at the same time, so Abdurrahman was saying, if you look at the definition of WHO, it's very much related to language. Right? Correct me if I misunderstood you.
Yeah, true. That's what I meant. Can I add a point?
Of course.
Yes. So I believe it has something to do also with the needs, because it's not only having a plain language. It's not only being culturally competent. You need also to understand the health needs of a specific context.
And so how would you do so, let's say?
Well, that depends on the health problem, but what I'm trying to communicate is being, you know, changing health literacy needs to, you have to understand the health needs of this specific context, which is without it, even if you have the best, the most simple language and the best cultural competency, you still have a way to go.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Lubna, I saw that you wanted to add something, and then Khawla. Yes, Lubna, go ahead. Lubna, you can speak. Lubna. Hello, hello. Khawla, go ahead till Lubna resumes.
Yeah, just I was thinking also of the cultural values. Like, for example, now with Corona, like asking someone to isolate, like we really have to be understanding of the community and the nature of the community and like how families gather still. Like, it's not a very individualistic society, so that could make it difficult. So even communicating like the need for isolation should be really like culturally understanding.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like to address what are the difficulties in it and why should it be done, etc.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good point. Anything else? Lubna? Ah, okay, electricity went off. Welcome to Lebanon. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mbika.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask about, so what you were saying is that health literacy is also related to my physical abilities. So my vision, my hearing abilities, my speaking abilities, maybe my also reading abilities. So not only in terms of language, if that's what you meant, it's also my physical abilities, depending on the context I'm living in. If they are displaying the health information using pictures, using audio, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not only about written text.
Mm-hmm.
From the definition, so as Abdurrahman was suggesting, the definition is very much linked to text. And in fact, you know, if we think about, we have one issue now. We're going to talk about it later. Most of the text that is available to us is in form of written text. We have books, we have papers, academic resources are mostly written. And this is a problem, let's say, for us. Let's say, as academics, we tend to rely on, you know, writing a paper, publishing on an academic journal that is hard to reach for some, or is not available for everyone. At the same time, we don't translate the knowledge. So we link here health literacy to knowledge translation or science communication. And we're going to talk about in a few weeks about that, how we can translate a text into a more comprehensive way. But here we talk about also human rights. The fact that not everyone can access information, not everyone can read, not everyone knows how to write. Or not those who are, you know, that are visually impaired or they have other problems they cannot understand. So you need to adapt the message to everyone potentially. Okay, that's the main point here. Because the problem of health literacy now, so if you think about, I mean, I see the problem of health literacy also in the fact that are happening today. A lot of people are going out with masks, okay, to protect themselves from the virus. Okay. The problem is that those are not protecting. Okay, they're not protecting individuals, as you know. So why are they still doing it? Okay, there might be other reasons. However, low health literacy has different connotations, let's say. We know that, so those who have low health literacy are generally limited literacy in terms of functional literacy. Functional literacy is defined as the ability to understand and to read, to count, to make small counts, and speak. Okay, people that are not able to speak have a low functional literacy. Now, besides language barriers, the difficulty of understanding different language. Those who have low health literacy have a low ability to advocate for their own selves in terms of health. They cannot speak, they cannot be upfront. They tend to have a low socioeconomic status. They might not have proper internet access or technological skills to access information as we do. They might also have a poor ability to engage in health decisions, and then might also be other issues related to the way gender and cultural roles are embedded in the society. So those who have low health literacy might be more prone to be disadvantaged. So if you want to, I want to stress this point. So when we talk about health literacy, not just talking, oh, we need to address different reading abilities here. Here we have to consider those who are more vulnerable, that cannot understand, that cannot reach the information that we want, okay, as health professionals. Now, health literacy tends to be, let's say, more prevalent among older adults, people who have low income, people who have limited education, and in minority populations. As health professionals, we can decide to focus exclusively on these segments, or we can try to have a population, let's say, population-wide approach when we say they have targeted messages for different segments. Okay, so there's a request. Hello, yes, can you please mute yourself if you don't speak? There's a noise in the background. Yes, thank you, please. Thank you. Okay. So as I was saying, so it's our choice to say we focus on a specific segment, or we tend to have a differentiated approach. In social marketing terms, we will call it differentiated marketing approach, but whereby we have a strategy for each segment. So we have a message for the adults, a message for people who have low income, for example, or people who have limited education, and minorities. This might be the case of some, let's say, that living in a low income setting, they have poor education, and they're a minority. They can be refugees. So we decide to focus on that population. Or we say we want to have a message for the refugees, a message for the local population who might be vulnerable in the same age range, the same age group. Okay? So here brings back the concept of segmentation we spoke about last week. All right. Now, the patients that we have limited health literacy may have difficulties in locating providers and services. They don't know where to find them. They don't know how to read. They don't know directions, for example. They don't know how to fill out health forms. So you cannot just give them a questionnaire to fill. They might not be able to do it. They cannot share medical history with the provider. They don't know how to. So imagine introducing a digital health record or an electronic health record. There's a case, I think the Global Health Institute recently has announced they reach about 10,000 refugees with a project called Sigilli. Have you heard about this? Or have you attended the presentation? Was it, I think, last week? Anyone? No? Okay. Have you heard about this, this project somewhere? Yes or no? No. Okay. So Sigilli, as far as I know, we can look for it later maybe. So Sigilli, I'll post on Moodle like a summary of that. It's a project for putting together, let's say, Epic. Do you know Epic, the big giant for patient health records that we have access to via AUBMC? Epic and GHI collaborated to provide all refugees with the portable electronic record, like basically a USB device that can connect to any computer, of course, that has a permanent health record of the refugees. So this problem addresses the mobility that this population has as a characteristic. You know, refugees can move from country to country, especially in the area here, and they might lose the information if they go back to Syria, for example, if they go to another country, if they go to Iraq, if they go to Turkey, they go to Germany. So this is interesting, let's say, from this point of view, to say I'll give them the chance to bring their personal health history wherever they go. Okay. At the same time, I mean, we can think about other ways we can do so. Consider yourselves. Yeah, you have mobile phones, right? Everyone has a mobile, at least one. You know, there's if you have an iPhone, you have the Apple Health. If you have an Android, I think there are different applications to store your health information. Okay. So this is a potential for you to save your own health records on your phone. And these are synchronized with your account wherever you go. But what do you think you need to have in order to make this system operable? Hello? Lubna.
Okay, I lost connection, but I heard the question. I think that, so if I want to use a program or an application on my phone, I should first understand some medical terms. I should understand how to input my information, my medical information, health-related information. How to follow up and monitor this information. Some applications are really complex. I've seen some applications that are complex, and sometimes I had to translate some words using.
Correct. Yes. Yes, you're saying. You're anticipating something we're going to talk about towards the end of the session. It's the eHealth literacy model. So the ability not only to understand the written information and the information about health, but its ability to use the device. Go ahead, Lubna.
Sorry, I had a question before
Yes.
I lost connection again. So I just was wondering if health literacy is also related to in terms, like, for example, nowadays people are believing the rumors that are related to coronavirus, for example. If you have a medical or scientific background, or like if you are attending some classes like we do, so we can understand that these rumors are wrong. So this is related also to health literacy. Yeah. It's not about understanding scientific knowledge. It's understanding, maybe, I don't know, like, I don't know what the definition is, but it is also related to health literacy, right?
Yes, it is. I would say
when you can differentiate maybe between the correct information, or
yeah,
I don't know.
I would say it's more related to the model of eHealth literacy, and we're gonna go it right now. At the same time, I want to stress a few more aspects of the health literacy model. So keep this point there. For now, we're gonna get back in a few moments. Now, a model, if you want to propose a model for health literacy, this should include functional health literacy, so the basic abilities that we need to have: reading, numeracy, and writing. Interactive health literacy, development of personal skills related to health. And critical health literacy, personal and community empowerment, educating and giving skills on how to make a change. Now, the critical health literacy is probably what Lubna was asking now, and saying we are aware of these myths and the misunderstandings and the false news that are circulating online. So we need to be critical. It's not only just, we get the information, I understand, and I forward it to people. Here we need to be responsible. So critical health literacy, meaning that people and communities are empowered and are able to understand and judge the information they have. It's not just, I understand, I know what it means. For example, last week, I think there were some messages circulating on WhatsApp from UNICEF. I don't know, have you seen them? Maybe I can pull them. Let's see. I can connect to my phone because I think I saved them. Just give me a second.
I've seen one of them that is related to UNICEF, that UNICEF is talking about the virus and how long does it live on surfaces, if this is...
there were a series of, let me see if I can find them. I'll show you. They were shared. They were shared widely. Widely and yes. Let's see. Let's see if we can share this. Yeah. Let's see if it works. No. Can you see my screen on the phone? Now you can see, probably. Can you see the screen on my phone?
Yes.
All right. So this is one of the messages that was circulating on social media last week. So what do you notice in this message?
Like it doesn't even look official, because usually UNICEF would put a logo.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
these are never a color that's like, I've never seen those colors used for UNICEF.
Yeah. So, yeah, good point. What else?
And also like saying like any mask prevent the entry. Like it seems like fake news, because every other official resource would say like, please don't wear masks unless you're like coughing.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, I don't know what is 400 to 500 micro. Like,
but plus there's a typo. It's not micro, it's micron. That the unit.
Yeah, that's
it's
like,
wrong.
I don't know what micro.
It's wrong. It's wrong. It's as you say, it's a fake news.
Yeah.
Right. So the question is then, why these messages appeared? Let's see if there's another one.
Somebody want to sell his mask.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. We have to question. Or harm, yes. Okay. The virus does not settle in the air, but is grounded, so it is not transmitted by air. What? Yeah. Yes. Coronavirus, when it falls on a metal surface, it will live 12 hours. So washing hands with soap and water well enough. So washing hands, so it's even wrong grammatically, you know.
Grammar
so
makes me
someone or medicine, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just saying the grammar is so bad.
Yeah, the grammar. Maybe it's Google Translated, Khawla. So Alexander says UNICEF instead of WHO. No, it's not about who's the source is. Some people, I don't know, we could investigate this further, but there are ways we can understand where this message comes from. However, you notice something, so you start looking at the colors, the logo, right? So they said, this is something fishy. This is not the way usually UNICEF is communicating with us. Okay. Then you start looking at the content itself. It's like, there are typos. The grammar is very poor. So, are we sure it's from UNICEF? Okay. So you asked the right questions. Madison, go ahead. Madison?
I just wanted to clarify, when we're talking about this ability to kind of discern things that are right or wrong in health information, this falls under critical health literacy.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
Empowerment.
Yes.
The empowerment to decide what is right or wrong.
Yes. We as public health professionals should work to empower communities in order to reach that point. We cannot assume that people have already these characteristics. I mean, you are, you as a public health professionals working and studying at AUB are lucky, you're empowered enough. Let's say you're going to classes, we teach these subjects, we understand this, so we tell you, be careful, do not judge the first thing you see, do not share this information. Okay, we cannot assume that this ability is already there out among the general public. However, this is something we need. It is our responsibility. We need to stress that. We need to teach. We need to train people how to be more literate, not only about health, but also about media, about the information sources that are shared online. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Lubna.
Yes, I just wanted to comment about what Khawla said. She said that the colors, if you are a person that is not familiar with UNICEF posts and logo, you will understand that this information is from UNICEF. And I have a school in Bika that posted actually this information on the Facebook page for the parents and the audience. And I commented that this is not from UNICEF. So they are empowered. The school is empowered because we are in a situation that maybe an emergency and coronavirus updates are needed, but still the school didn't like look further and ask if this information is actually true.
So they are not empowered. They are not empowered.
I was thinking that they are empowered to share information and to work, but they don't have maybe the correct information. I don't know.
Exactly. So that's where you come into play now. I say this is our responsibility. When you see this, say it. Say, please do not share this information. This is wrong. This is false. This doesn't come from the right source. It's not UNICEF. So act as watchdogs, please. This is your role now. You're not only just passive, listeners and observers here. You are students of public health. All right, so that's great. So I mean, I suggest, I strongly encourage everyone else in this class at least to do the same. So when you see something they say, no, this is not correct, stop this spreading this message. We need to educate others. This is your responsibility to stop spreading misinformation. Okay.
And it was a school, like a school should have, like, is a reputable school, should have correct information posted, not any information.
That's
because
why
parents are.
Go ahead, yes.
Like, because parents believe everything posted on the Facebook page that is for the school. So they have to be careful what information they are posting.
So they meaning the school?
Yes, the school.
I would say for you, this is an opportunity, let's say, for working, maybe only volunteering for now. Let's say you can say, hey, principal, this is false information. I can help you verify this information before you post. So let me know whatever messages you are sending, send them first to me. I will verify them for you. I am a professional in this field. This is what I do. Okay? So engage. This is an opportunity for you to engage with the school and say, look, I can help you. We need to be clear on this. We don't have to spread false information. We don't need to spread more uncertainty, because we're already living in pretty much uncertain times. Okay. So this is, our role, let's say, as professionals. Okay. From the perspective of the healthcare provider, we need to make sure that we give information clearly, we repeat and summarize, we make sure that the person understands. Now, before I give you the word, Abdurrahman, there's also a way that we can use to understand if the person understood. Do you know, in interpersonal communication, what do we do to demonstrate that we understood? No. Alexander says no. Nod, yes, nodding.
Paraphrasing or summarizing what a person told me?
Yes, exactly. Ask the receiver to repeat, exactly, to repeat and summarize in paraphrase. That's exactly the definition, yeah. So when we talk about campaigns, we need to consider the health literacy. We need to be at least conscious that whatever we design as messages and content cannot just be for one type of population. Or if we do so, that message might resonate among a specific target, but we need to have different channels to deliver the message. And we need to test the materials rigorously. Abdurrahman, you wanted to say something. I saw you raised a hand. Please go ahead.
Yes, if you don't mind, can you go back to the previous one about critical health theory?
Yeah, there you go.
So, because actually I have this concern that for some people, even though they may have the best information about how to prevent diseases and how to take care of themselves, but there is this issue of having a theory about what health is and how it connects to their human rights. So, for example, in there are states and cities and places where maternity mortality or delivery-related emergencies are really, really high. Mm. However, we wouldn't connect this directly to their, to their life expectancy. Mm. See this, we are lacking actually a doctor here, an ambulance there, but they don't see themselves getting killed by lacking those kind of services or kind of rights, I might say. Mm. So where does it lie in health literacy? That they believe that actually me dying is because of some of my rights are not served. I don't have some of my basic human rights. Mm. Where does this lie? Is this part of human literacy or not?
Is this part of health literacy? Probably to some extent, yes. It's about empowerment, I would say. The empowerment, it's a broader term, probably. In this case, you can see that the person might not see the role, let's say, of social determinants of health, let's say, in getting them somewhere, okay? So this might be, a bit more philosophical than what it is, but it might be on that case. So they lack the critical aspect and of understanding what the basic needs can be a bit abstracted from their own reality to the society. And they live in their own, let's say, bubble, and they might not see how having another ambulance, let's say, can help others perform. I don't know if I understood correctly what you were saying. I will still look at from the critical health literacy perspective.
I see. I'm a bit. It's kind of my thing going on. We'll keep looking for answer throughout the lectures, and we might have to discuss it later. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, let's move on. I wanted to show you something that this is a tool that it's important to consider. So how do we know if we're talking about the right type of health literacy? Now, this is a tool shed, a health literacy tool shed. It's a website managed by Boston University, sponsored by the NIH, the National Institute of Health in the United States. So it's a compilation, let's say, of resources that are useful to understand health literacy. So if you go there, let's see if I can show you how it works. And I share the screen. Okay. So, for example, can you see the screen now? Let's see. Can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay. So you can go here and find measures. For example, you want to look at, I don't know, different filters you can apply. I want to look for blood pressure. So you select there, you see there are 3 scales for measuring health literacy in blood pressure context. So hypertension health literacy assessment, nutritional literacy assessment, or high blood pressure health literacy scale. So if you click on that, you can see the information about this validated scale, what it assesses, the specific context, because as I said before, health literacy is context specific. The study has been validated on a population of adults from 18 to 64 years. They used a paper and pencil questionnaire, so self-administered, and basically it takes 12 minutes to complete the questionnaire. There are 30 items, 30 questions in this tool. So you can read more details and so on, but this is the information you get. Or you can see, oh, I have another one here. Same population, it's been used as a face-to-face interview. 2 minutes, so this is shorter version of the previous one. And then you can see also there's another version here. Same population. It's been validated using paper and pencil, face-to-face, and computer-based, and it takes 25 minutes. So let's say you want to do a study. You want to measure the, you're talking about blood pressure among patients. You want to do a campaign to improve the conditions of patients with high blood pressure. So you have to decide what instrument should I use to assess high blood pressure literacy. And here you have three options. So how would you choose? So what are the considerations that you might have, let's say, in this context? Who wants to share ideas? Lubna. I want to hear also from those who are silent, actually, because here, let's say, Mina, Noor, Rana, Samia, Sana, Yasmin, Zainab. Please have a say. Share your ideas with us. Ahmed. Oh, Ahmed, yeah, of course. Dalal, Fatma, Jana. Who wants to go first? Zainab.
Hello, doctor.
Hello. Well, how would you go about this?
Probably I would look first at the target population, whether it's validated among the population or the age group that I wanna use on.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And also it depends on the way I want to administer. Oh, it's feasible for me to administer the tool. For example, some of them are face to face or self-administered. So it depends whether it matches what I want to do or not. So practical issues.
Okay, so in this case, let's say you see that there's a tool here, then the last one, the nutrition literacy assessment instrument.
Yeah.
It's been used in, let's say you have the same population, adults from 18 to 64 years. So you have adults, that's fine.
Yeah.
And then this model, the last one, it's been validated using 3 modes of delivery. So paper and pencil, face-to-face, and computer-based. So let's say in your study, you want to use online survey.
Yes.
Okay. So probably this will be the reason. I'm using this because it has been.
It was validated and yes.
Or you can see, well, I am going to use the shortest one because if I cannot spend 25 minutes, or I cannot ask people to spend 25 minutes to complete the survey. Okay. So I might go for the shortest duration, still validated. However, because it's face-to-face, I need to do something else here. I need to probably validate it online. I need to use this tool and do a validation study to see if this is comparable to face-to-face.
Yes, I have a question actually.
Yeah.
The fact that a tool is validated in different modes of administration, does this makes it like more credible and reliable if it's like validated in face-to-face and computer-based and other things?
Yes, yes. In theory, yes. It means so that no matter what mode of delivery, you reach the same results. So if I ask a person, so that means that it's reliable. Validation means reliability.
Yeah.
Okay. In the case of the nutrition literacy assessment instrument, this is a tool that has been validated with about 400 people, and they tested paper and pencil, face-to-face, and computer. Right? So they said basically there's no difference if I ask the question using a paper and pencil, self-administered, if I use it on computer-based, so self-administered via online surveys, let's say, or by interviewer.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the idea.
I see.
Okay.
Thank you.
Fatma, do you want to add something?
Yes, hello, Dr. Marco. The point is, are these tools like validated in Arabic? So what if I want to translate it into Arabic? I think this would create a problem.
Of course. So in this case, there's no information about Arabic. You want to check another problem. I want to see if there's language, for example. See that you can choose for language. In this case, I have to reset. Yeah. So you want to look for Arabic. And you'll see only 4 measures. Only 4 measures. So you see there's a cervical breast cancer literacy, diabetes numeracy test, and the literacy in medicine Lebanese version, by the way. So this is the study done, I think, I'm not sure, but there might be colleagues. Yes, yes. By the way, yes. C. Kanj, Mayada Kanj, Tamar Kabakian Kasholian, and Jonas Schulz. He was a professor from Lugano University where I graduated.
Yes, here from Avia.
Yeah. So they did a study in this case too. It's a face-to-face. It was a face-to-face. So connection goes bad. Let's see when it goes back to normal. So if you're interested in using the language of Arabic, let's say, you need to make sure that the tool is used in that context.
Yes, that's what I.
So in case it's not possible, then you need to do a study to validate it. So in a sense, you need to translate the tool, let's say from English or from French or from another language, translate it into Arabic, and then validate. So do a validation study for the translation. And to do so, do you know how you do it?
No.
Okay, so in the traditional way of doing it, you have a translation. You administer the translated version and the original language version to the same people. And you measure sort of retest reliability and to see if there are differences. So you have, let's say, a sample of 100 people, they complete the survey in English and they complete the survey in Arabic, basically almost at the same time. Then what you do also is to back translate. So before you have the final version of the translation, you have a translation and a back translation.
Yes.
Okay. So it's a long process, actually. I have published now, I have a paper on this, on a mobile application rating scale. It's not about health literacy, but it's very similar in terms of process. So you need to, spend about a year, let's say, to do this, this process. Or you can be faster, but it might take a long time.
It take a long time.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions on this? On this tool? This is glossary. So it's a very useful website. So you have information and you can also select and you measure. You can suggest, oh, there's a new study testing health literacy in a specific domain that is not included in the tool. So for now, you see there are only about 200 measures included here. Okay. All right, so I want to go back to the slides. Okay. Sure. Okay, now you should see again the slides. Yeah. Okay, so we started talking about technology before. We talk about the way we process information, especially now with the coronavirus. So we're living in a context where social media play a very big role, especially in diffusing wrong information, unfortunately. So whatever people do and become, so we had a discussion the other day in the committee for the coronavirus. So how did Lebanon cope with the outbreak of H1N1 influenza in 2009? I was not there. I don't remember how it was. I don't remember how it was where I was. I was in Italy. Sorry, it was in Switzerland. At the same time, so my colleagues told me, we dealt with this problem in a much different way. We didn't have the problem of social media diffusing wrong information because this is something that is happening more often now. So we need to deal with this challenge in which we are facing, health professionals, public health professionals, we need to be aware of this problem. And we need to address it as soon as possible because the information is not only shared on traditional media, newspapers, magazines, TV, radio information. So we have people that are sharing information directly. We're generating content on social media and sharing it without filters. So this brings me to the model, of health literacy, the eHealth literacy model. Can anyone tell me a bit more on this? So based on the readings that you encountered that were on Moodle, the lily model. This is the lily model, like the flower lily. Anyone? Anyone? Everyone is sleeping. Neros, you're not muted. But now he's muted. Layal, you want to say something, or you want to tell us what the Lily model or the eHealth literacy model entails? Anyone want to attempt? Or just, you can see, describe what you see in the slides. Zainab, do you want to go for it?
Yeah. So basically, they have categorized this model into two categories: the analytical skills required and the context-specific skills. The context-specific were basically the media, the media. I'm not sure. It's basically. Are they the yellow highlighted?
Yes.
Okay, so the media, the traditional, and the information literacy.
I'm helping you now. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, and the others are the context-specific, the computer, scientific, and health literacy. They have defined each literacy. What does it mean? And we have done that quite since the beginning of the lecture.
Mm-hmm. So what is traditional literacy? Let's start from traditional literacy.
So it's like the functional literacy, the ability to read, write, speak, and these things.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So here I put a question: what about images or videos and voice over response, voice IVR? Okay.
Actually, regarding images and videos, I'm not sure about that, but I believe it requires more of cognitive analysis and cognitive abilities to be able to process the content that is there. And it also requires the person being exposed to this type of images or logos, signs. So it's much broader than the ability to read something or write something. It's the ability to be able to process it and understand it.
So when we go to health literacy, we have already decided what it is, covered it. About the information literacy, what is it? As you can see from the slide.
So it's basically the ability to understand how to use information in such that others can learn from them. So it's briefly stated that how knowledge is produced and organized and how to search for it. So it's not just about having information there, but it's about me being able to access it and to utilize it. So how I find information, where I do find it. What
are the sources that I'm using to search for information? So I think everyone here uses Google, right? For various reasons, also for health related information seeking. So it's about this the source of information. So let's say Google, Wikipedia, or a newspaper ABC. But it is also the judgment that comes from understanding that information comes from a reputable sources or not. So remember what the example of the UNICEF messages. Some of you said, oh, this is not UNICEF. No, the color code is not that. So if I look for this information from UNICEF, if I Google UNICEF coronavirus information, I will not find it. I go to UNICEF website, I try to look for that information, I cannot find it. You see? So it's ability to look for the information, at the same time also to judge. It's a more critical than it seems. Okay. Now, what about scientific literacy?
I think it relates to what Lubna discussed about being familiar with the technical terms and
Yes. So it's ability to understand the basic science, let's say, and how to read, let's say, in an academic article or resource. And here I link to the ability or the lack thereof, the ability of journalists to understand scientific results, scientific research. So there was also a video the other day I saw. It was a professor, I don't know where, a doctor. he was blaming the media for the diffusion of panic among people, let's say in the United States in that case. So he was saying it's the irresponsible practice of journalists to talk about the topic when they don't know anything about it. And so the ability, it's not only for the people that read the messages, it's not only for the general public, it's also about specific media reporters that do not know how to write about health.
Yes,
Okay,
we have discussed this with actually Dr. Jardali about media in Lebanon and health media in Lebanon, that journalists, even people who are writing about health, they're not health specialists, and this is one of the barriers to active engagement of media in the health sector.
Yeah. So, what did Dr. Fadi say to you? What did he tell you? What is the proposed solution in this problem, of this problem?
Okay, so basically we were discussing the role of media in health policy making, and we were more or less navigating around the fact that more health professionals need to make it to need to be in the as journalists. Yani it's not enough to have person who has media background and journalism. This person who who writes about health needs to have that health education. So it was more about like have health background programs that empower journalists in this aspect.
Mm-hmm. So the take-home message for you, what is it? You can be employed as health journalists. Mm-hmm. You yourself can be employed as health journalists, or you can train journalists to be more aware of health issues, topics, or how to understand science, let's say. So it's a dual aspect. Yeah. I think in terms of, think about your employability, your future job, what could it be? You can become, if you like it, a journalist yourself, or to be collaborate with a newspaper, so you're responsible for a column on health. Talk to me whenever you want to. We want to have a public health perspective on it. You can be interviewed as experts. You can be, engaged with this with the media landscape, or you can work, let's say, for institutions who train journalists in becoming more aware of health-related issues and how to interpret the data and so on. Okay, great. I'm glad that you mentioned that, because there's, in the reading list, there's also one paper of Dr. Fadi Jaldari about this very issue. Mm-hmm. Okay, so when he talk about media literacy, sorry, I'm going back. No. Media literacy is the critical thinking about media. Okay.
Yeah. As we have discussed in the UNICEF example, like being able to critically assess the media material that we're receiving. Yeah.
So the media in this case is news media also. So understanding whether the source of information is credible, reliable, and so on. The problem is that people might not know, as you mentioned, the logo of UNICEF. They might not recognize the logo. So those who say, well, it's written UNICEF, it's there. That's the source. That's the way I judge it. And they might not have the time to do the fact checking that everybody should do. And this is a very, very important skill nowadays. Now, bear in mind that there's also another problem we're facing. It's the predominant use of fake news. And there are channels that are working and are living on broadcasting fake news. And I mentioned before in class when we were still meeting, deep fake videos. Yeah. Deep fake videos. So this is something that is becoming more difficult to distinguish between what is fake, what is new, what is true. But you need to fact check. So how would you fact check or check your facts?
Probably if I have received the UNICEF like news, I would just go for, as you have said, as we just can go to the website and check the logo and check if this ad is there. But again, it comes back to my ability accessing that information and being aware how to find the UNICEF website and how to read that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. Okay, last but not least, computer literacy.
Yeah, so it's about like being able to use the different softwares of computers, laptops, and other
and other devices, let's say other devices. This, so the computer literacy, because this is a model from 2006. So the eHealth literacy model comes about 12, 13 years ago. At that time, let's say, we didn't have many computers, or actually we had computers, but we didn't have computers that are in our hands. So a mobile phone, a smartphone today is more than just a computer. So anyway, the computer literacy, we can read it as a technology literacy, ability to use different technologies for different purposes. So we might have applications on the phone that allow us to track healthcare information or look for information in that sense. So we have, we can use a lot of things online and not online also. Okay, so I think, yeah, that's what I wanted to say. The challenges we are facing, let's say, in this environment, thank you, Zainab, for your contribution. The problems we are facing in this context is that the content that is available online, for example, is mostly in English, about 65% of the content. And so we have a problem, first of all, accessing health information. Not everyone has internet access, so we still have some spots in Lebanon and elsewhere in the world whereby people do not have access to internet. This creates a problem of inequity of access, and this is something that governments should work on, and we probably should push this agenda, saying we need to provide everyone access with internet. The global penetration rate of internet is about, I think, 80 to 90%. So we need still to work more on making this remaining 20 or 10% connected online, because this empowers people. So having the possibility to be connected online makes you able to reach, let's say, the potential to reach out. However, at the same time, we need to make sure that people are also trained on how to search for information online, so that they are aware of the critical aspects that we mentioned before, the fact that the sources might not be they might not be reputable, so we cannot just trust whatever we find online because it's online. Okay. So the assumptions we have to make are, we need to be very careful in making assumptions here in the contents. And as I mentioned before, so it can be difficult to sort and filter sources that are not credible because we don't know what they are. Okay, so the difficulty might be there. So we cannot discern a source from another one. So it will require more effort and more time to search for the information. So as we mentioned for the UNICEF, you will look for the information on the website, on the official website. Maybe the website is not available. So you need to look for news outlets that might have already shared that content. If you don't find anything like this, it might be very likely that this is just a phenomenon on social media, on WhatsApp. Don't trust anything else. However, we don't have all the resources and the information available to do so. Now, Facebook is trying to do something about it. It's trying to do, they put more effort in trying to reduce fake news through a bit algorithms, so automated forms of blocking content that is suspicious, or semi-automated, so with some humans reading and judging messages. But I know for sure this works mostly for advertised content. You cannot really control what everybody's writing. You know, you talk about 7 million people writing messages and posting updates. It is humanly impossible to do so. And another problem we are facing is generally the information online is mostly for a very highly skilled or highly literate, basic functional literacy, above 6th grade. And this is a problem because not everyone can understand. This is the basic, let's say, information. Okay. Do you know how to, I don't know if I mentioned that before. How do you know the readers, how do you determine if a text is appropriately, it's written for a grade 6? Do you know how? There's some online tools, yes? Do you know of anything? Yeah, you can use an easy language, but how do you know? Yes, you can pilot. yeah, so newspapers should be written in the grade 6 or not. Yes, but let's say there's a very easy task that you can have, you can do whenever you produce a text. It's in, I'll give you a hint, it's in Word, Microsoft Word. It's about accessibility, yes. So what do you do? If I have an example. I can use. Yeah, it's a feature. Let's see if I can share. Okay. It's under Tools, Spelling and Grammar. Okay. Ignore all. I'm just showing you, ignore all options. So it's, can you see the screen itself? Okay, do you see also the form here? So it's under grammar, see show readability statistics. Okay, so you go to, well, this is Mac, but it's okay. When you go to the tools, spelling and grammar, this is the form that comes out, and you go to options. In options, you go show readability statistics. Once you stop, let's say ignore all, you finish your autocorrection, close, it should pop up somewhere. Anyway, it doesn't work now, but it should give you a statistic. So there's a, see, this is probably the wrong document I wanted to use. This is an IRB application. It's very complex, so I'm trying to use another one. Consent form, for example. You want to try the consent form. I'm working on an IRB application now. So I am now using this. Let's see. Stop share. I'm using this one. If I want to test this one, spelling grammar, and I go to options again, show readability statistics, and then ignore all. Okay, I do this. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Can you see this, the readability statistics? This is something like this. Okay. And this is it. I'm going to show you. Cancel. Let's see if I can share again. So, okay, this is the result of the readability statistics. So as you can see, there's a flash reading is 50. Flash Kincaid grade level, this is the index. Flash Kincaid is this measure, let's say. And it tells me that it's a 10.7. This means that you need at least a grade 10 to read this text. So I need to make sure that I have to correct it in a sense to reduce it, to make it 8, 9, 6, and whatever, okay? So here I'm talking about consent form. So it should be, it's a patient information sheet. So I am addressing this intervention to, I'm targeting UB, MC, and faculty, staff, and students. At the same time, I want to make sure that everyone else can understand. So grade 10 is fine, assuming that we have an educated population on the UB community. At the same time, it may not be appropriate for everyone. So this is for me to say, this is the way I should verify. I should make sure that the information I am providing is more accurate for a lower grade. Okay. So there's a problem, let's say, that there's no studies that report eHealth literacy in health interventions. And as we saw before, health literacy is domain specific, and the measurement, let's say, is important, let's say, for scale, selection, validation. So these are the three important aspects that we can consider important, let's say, for the future of health literacy in Lebanon, and not only in Lebanon. So we are doing now with a colleague of yours, we are studying the literature, sorry, we're doing a systematic review on how eHealth literacy is included in digital interventions. To what extent digital interventions account for the levels of eHealth literacy, for media literacy, scientific literacy, information literacy, computer literacy, health literacy, and traditional literacy. Okay. With another colleague of yours, we are looking at the general eHealth literacy in Lebanon. We're using a validated scale. It's called the eHealth. And if you have not completed the survey, please, you can see it here. I'll leave the link below. So please share and complete this questionnaire. It's a 5-minute questionnaire. It will help us understand what the level of health literacy, eHealth literacy is in Lebanon. Okay. Okay, so I think I want to close here because there's general tips. I'll leave it for you to read online from later when you have the time. So do you have any questions? Any questions for me? You're welcome. Questions related to about the exam. Okay, what do you want to know about the exam, Rana? You can speak. I can speak. Okay, can you type? I can read now. I can read if you type. What do you want to know? How could it be online? So it's online because it's an online quiz. So you will receive access. We'll give you a password to open up an activity on Moodle. It's online, a Moodle activity. You click on it, you open up. There's going to be a password. It's for an hour or so. And you have that to complete a set of questions. So there's a time for you to complete it. The format is the same, yeah. Format and date are the same. Multiple questions, yes, correct. Yes, yes, yes. So there are matching questions, so you can, let's say, link a definition with the type of information available. It's pretty straightforward and simple. Okay. So I want to quickly go back to a few concepts here because it's about it's your understanding of some concepts. We spoke briefly, I think, about social marketing, about health communication. What is for you, or what did you understand is social marketing, for instance? So if you see social marketing, I want you to remember one thing. Social marketing equals anyone wants? I'm going to write it here on the chat, but please, I want to stress it. Social marketing equal behavior change, exactly. So wherever you see social marketing, it has to deal with behavior change. We will probably go back to this concept before the end of this this course, but at the same time, I wanted to stress it out. You might not be able to know whether a campaign uses social marketing, social behavior change communication, communication for development, or so on. It's the developers of the campaign that should know the difference between these different frameworks. Now, you don't know by just looking at the campaign, you will not know. But what you will know from looking at the campaign, whether it is focused on a behavior or not. If at the end of the message you say, well, what am I supposed to do now? It's probably not focused on behavior. So then you can say, well, definitely it might not be social marketing. But social marketing is the planning process behind it. You don't know until you see the strategy. I don't know if this makes sense. Okay. So I would suggest you go back and look at the models for risk communication. This is definitely going to be part of the quiz. I can repeat. So social marketing, for you to remember, social marketing is a framework used to promote behavior change. Individual behavior change and community behavior change. If a program is aimed to increase the number of volunteers, for example, or get funding, that's not social marketing. What could that be? I'll answer to Lubna's question in a moment. If a campaign is social media marketing, maybe it might be NGO marketing, yes, correct. So non-profit marketing or cause-related marketing. The cause is fundraising. We want to collect funds for the sick patients of, I don't know, a specific area. Okay, this is what we call we call non-profit marketing or cause-related marketing. Okay, perfect. So look at the models for different models of outbreak and risk communication. The concepts of literacy is there, but it's very very simple question. Okay. Another thing we need to remember also, look at the persuasion techniques. Okay. And I think that's it, yeah. Too much theory. No, they're not theories. There will be no question about theories. Do not confuse the two courses, Lubna. So the question today, today lecture included is only one question about health literacy. It's a basic definition of health literacy, which is we covered before already. No, in this course we don't have theories. Now, for the committee, so there, we don't know when classes will resume. The message of the president was clear. It said until further notice. So just be patient and expect new communications coming in soon. Yeah, models, there are models. Yes, exactly. So Combi, yes. So the models we talked about, they are on the slides, they are in the information that we shared before. Look at those carefully. So you have to distinguish when would you use Combi model, when would you use another one. So when would you use, let's say, when would you use the Combi model? Yes, it can be used for risk communication, but is there a specific case? Coronavirus, yes, after an outbreak, exactly, Khawla. Perfect, yes. It's communication for behavioral response. So when you have, like in this case, there's an outbreak, also CERC, yes, of course, CERC is used in risk communication, but COMBI has been developed for understanding outbreaks. Yeah. Okay. As I mentioned before, go back also to the on Moodle on the top, the health communication materials and basic concepts. Go back to that. Yeah, the WHO model, you can use the WHO model, but this is used to plan the activities needed to anticipate risks. You can use different models. The CERC and the WHO model are both valid for dealing with risk communication. Now, one specifically developed for outbreaks is the COMBI model, okay? Still WHO, all right? The WHO model we talked in class, it was used to plan risk communication strategies before they happen. COMBI is appropriate when you have an outbreak, we need to solve the problem now. The CERC model is also used to plan. At the same time, it's also valid. You can also use the CERC model to deal with the problem like coronavirus now in Lebanon. I don't know if it makes sense. Okay. Other questions? Give us more. I gave you enough, Rana. I think I gave you enough hints. Okay. I cannot give you the questions, of course. And as I said before, consider the quiz as a way for you to see what you didn't understand. I mean, I will see it this way. It's a way for me to understand what the concepts were not clear. Which lecture should you focus on? No, I cannot tell you. I gave you already more hints. I will tell you which ones to focus on. But all content is covered. I mean, in the syllabus, it said this quiz, this online quiz is meant to assess specific learning objectives. I cannot tell you, do not read this part. I will not do it. Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay, have a good day. Right. So hopefully we'll see next week. I'm not sure. We'll see each other online. Stay safe. Don't wear masks and follow AB for communications. Ciao. Have a nice day. Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao. Arrivederci. Bye-bye.